welcome everybody. It's a great pleasure for me today to introduce our very distinguished guest, Professor Yasemin Bayyurt, the Dean of the Faculty of Education of Boğaziçi University. So she is a graduate of Boğaziçi University and she received her PhD from Lancaster University. She is a sociolinguist as well as a teacher educator. In fact, she contributed and published extensively on areas such as teacher education, native and non-native teachers, mobile and blended learning, English medium instruction, CLIL, or the content language integrated learning, discourse analysis, and others. But beyond all this, she is one of the most prominent academic figures of the worldwide ELF community. ELF meaning English as a lingua franca, so she is widely known in the ELF and WE, World English communities throughout the world because of his research and contributions. In fact, as you all know, Kadir University is an EMI university. Well, I mean, as far as most of its faculties goes. And also we are experiencing a paradigm shift in our education methods since last 2-3 years. So the new educational approach of Kadir University, including, for example, the project-based learning, also includes core curriculum, in a core curriculum in the freshman year, where a CLIL-like methodology is adopted. So the courses are instructed with not only content instructors, but also all the courses in the freshman class also have a language, English language instructor. So therefore, I think what Professor Bayyurt is going to talk about the English medium instruction universities is going to inspire us very much. So I leave the screen to Yasemin Bayyurt. Hocam, I promoted you to co-host, so I think now you can share your screen as well.
Okay, thank you very much. This is the end of my talk. Let me. Okay, before I start, I want to welcome Dilek, who is the contributor of what we are going to present to you today. She's also here. She was also there when we had our first meeting at Kadir University of EMI consortium. Okay, so today I also would like her to show herself to us at some point. So I'm so glad she's here today too. The topic of what we're going to talk about today is problematizing EMI programs in Turkish higher education, voices from stakeholders. And this was in fact turned into a chapter in an edited volume together with Dilek İnal and Feza Keristecioğlu, which is coming out in June. So what I'm going to tell you today is in fact part of this chapter. So first of all, we need to really underline the significance of English language in the Turkish context, okay? It has been around for a while now. Since actually the 19th century, we have had some encounters with English language, international exchanges with English language. And the very first treaty that was signed between British Empire and Ottoman Empire was signed in French, because at that time in the Ottoman Empire, they did not have enough English speakers. Therefore, they needed to translate the text into French and then sign them. But the real encounters with English language, of course, during the First World War and afterwards, but in the beginning of Turkish Republic in 1923 and until now, it is shifted actually. English has become one of the major foreign languages that was taught in schools, and during which we had actually starting from the beginning of the Turkish Republic until now, we have had different encounters with English language at both secondary, primary, and upper secondary level and tertiary level. So there was always English medium universities before and after, our first encounters with English language. So obviously, English language gained more significance after the Second World War with the rise of Anglophone USA as an economic and political power in the world. But the main shift in English becoming so popular was after the invent of internet, of course. After 1990s, English has become more and more important because it was the language of the internet, the worldwide communication. So online communication as well. Obviously, other big languages like French and German competed with English all the time throughout the years and centuries, but they couldn't really take off from the hands of the internet the significance of English. So these are just a few highlights, and since again 1930s and before, of course, we have foreign schools, English medium schools, starting from secondary to upper secondary, and then after 1998 we have primary schools in which English is part of the curriculum, both in state and private sectors and so on. And the degree and the amount of exposure changes in those as well. And recently we have a different picture, but somehow kind of scaffolding picture, where we still have English as one of the most important languages, foreign languages in Turkey, which is not losing its significance over the years. And it is the language of higher education and so on. There are, at the moment, in our group, we have researchers who are still working on this topic, and they're also interested in how English medium instruction is changing its structure, its shape. So today I will be giving you how, in fact, this movement has started. Maybe we are one of the sparks of this movement, but we need to see English medium instruction from a different lens in actually today's educational system, both at university and K-12 sectors. Okay, so some of the highlights I want to go back to my presentation. First of all, English is one of the popular language of international and international purposes. So international meaning English is used in certain domains like education and business. Therefore, international, and international is obviously if you have other career opportunities, educational opportunities abroad. Significantly, it's instrumental domains of trade, tourism, and education, as I said, and it's primary foreign language, again, in all levels of institutionalized education. And it's an indispensable tool for internationalization of higher education. For the third one, primary language for all levels of institutionalized education, this also includes in-service education for different sectors as well. I mean, I remember teaching English to, of course, I don't remember, I did teach English to bank inspectors, for example, in 1990s, or pharmaceutical company, in fact, engineers, and so on. And they all had in their minds one actually target, which was to be able to express themselves in business communication to people from different parts of the world, as well as English. So I think it is the primary language in all sectors. In German companies, in a recent research, for example, which was conducted in business, on business English, they found out that in German companies, they use English as a lingua franca. This is, again, an international context, and English is the primary language in Turkey. That's an interesting fact, because we have lots of German speakers in Turkey, but still they prefer English as the language of communication in the pharmacy. So actually, I would like to give you some statistical results. Dilek is better in this, but anyway, I will try my best. So in 2014 higher education report, we see language of instruction. This is actually 7 years ago. I'm sure now the shape, it has changed its shape and maybe numbers, but let's have a look in order to get an idea. So language of instruction in higher education institutions as of 2014, in Turkish we have 3,593 undergraduate programs, that's 78.55%. And English medium instruction, 723 institutions, that's 15.8%. Turkish and English together, like Kadir Has, for example, or Istanbul University in some programs, they are rising. There's a rise in English medium programs as of, I think, 2018 or so, because this is the time. Maybe Dilek wants to correct me later on. This is, they have opened new English medium programs. So this is 2.68%. And other languages like French and German universities, there's 135 programs, undergraduate programs, 2.95% of all English, of all programs in English, okay. And when we look at some statistics about the international body working in Turkish higher education in 2017, we can see that this is an interesting one. I like this one actually very much. For example, people from United States of America, we have 283 instructors and 81 academic staff. Again, this is 2017, there has been 4 years, maybe there's change now. Syria, 2013 instructors and academic staff, 121. These are all, the first group is language instructors working in language schools. And second one is academic staff teaching subject courses. Azerbaijan, we have people from different countries, but I just want you to pay attention to especially those Anglo-English speaking countries. But apart from that, we have people from all other countries like Azerbaijan, UK, Iran, Cyprus, Germany, Greece, Egypt, Canada, and others. So this is a total of 1,829 language instructors, 1,057 academic staff, a total of 2,886 instructors who are non-Turkish citizens. Okay, and this also shows that we need to have, we need to approach English medium instruction with great care because we have an international body of people. And I'm going to give you an example from a recent exchange of messages between my university instructors and again another one in relation to the university, for example, promotional committees, those instructors who has been living in Turkey for a long time and who in fact are married with Turkish people are still not taking responsibilities for example, going to associate professorship juries or taking part in some juries where Turkish is the dominant language. And in emails, for example, they ask the instructors, the rest of the university, to write their messages bilingually, both in English and in Turkish. So in a way, this shows how, in fact, we are becoming more and more international. And I'm sure this is the same in all the universities around Turkey because we have, I'm sure we have, you know, instructors from other countries. And this is not only, this doesn't only include Western, like countries like European countries or American countries, but many countries from Asia, Middle East, and Africa, and so on. So why EMI? I mean, one of the reasons I've just stated actually is because we are becoming more and more international worldwide, not only in Turkey, but this is a phenomenon that's going on all over the world. And this is a question that people are asking themselves for a long time. There's ample research on this topic. It is, for example, some of the reasons we have listed in our chapter was, it is taught to consolidate English skills that were acquired earlier. English competency covering professional background boosts professional opportunities from local to global. So in many universities today, people, especially EMI universities, people pay attention to which university, which level of English they have and so on. And there are some studies, some research going on. There's some research going on at Higher Education Council about EMI universities to find out about these characteristics of EMI instructors, for example. And how do we prove that we are EMI instructors? In my case, I was an English major. So, and I came from an from British university. So I was already qualified to teach. They didn't, for example, give me a test in English when I applied for a job at Boğaziçi. But if you're applying for a job in electrical engineering or computer engineering, for example, you need to prove your English language proficiency as well, somehow, either through a test or during the job talk. You are also given another, you also have another meeting with a group of English majors discussing on a topic, scholarly topic, evaluating your level of English. So in a way, we have some sort of standards, some sort of screening bodies in order to determine whether you can teach in an EMI university or not. Of course, this is not to offend the instructor, but to enable the students to have the kind of English language instruction they're expecting to have. You will see in a minute some of the expectations from EMI university instructors when I'm reporting the results of our survey. English is a lingua franca, and therefore EMI is regarded as a component of an international identity, intercultural competence, global citizenship. These are all new terms that are being researched in the light of why English has become so worldwide, why English is a global language, why universities prefer English as medium of instruction, while their nation in their national context, they have a perfect national language, which is also as well. And also in the expanding circles, so you take part in a global context when you have an EMI university, and in this case, obviously, that also brings you into how can I say, the statistical analysis of the university successes and the QS rankings, etc. All of these are these enable you to become a part of a whole, actually, a global context. So this is also another reason, and there may be other reasons which we may have forgotten, or which is not so actually significant at this moment, but we may talk about later. So the first one of, so with all these in our mind, actually, and with the kind of initiation of all this communication with Mustafa Akıncıoğlu from Oxford University, who worked on this topic, we agreed to establish an EMI consortium and start a regional meeting with teachers of English from schools of English and instructors who are teaching in English, decision makers, and other stakeholders. And we have organized the first of these meetings or these symposiums at Kadir Has University on June 19 to 2018. And it was called Üniversitelerde İngilizcenin eğitim dili olarak kullanılan bütüncül bir yaklaşım. And our aim was to see it from a holistic picture, see this phenomenon from a holistic point of view, including all stakeholders, instead of just going to the prep schools of universities and complaining about, look, you cannot teach English, that's why my students are not successful, blah, blah, blah. We wanted to, in fact, isolate this idea and then look at the whole situation from a holistic perspective. So this was the first one. And then we had a second one in the same year, April the same year, at İzmir Economy University. I couldn't reach its poster, so I don't have it. And the third one was in Eastern Mediterranean University in North Cyprus on November 9, 2018. And the very last one was at Middle East Technical University on April 19, 2019. This was our last consortium, and we had people from ministry, we had people from Higher Education Council attending, again, rectors, vice rectors, and so on. And we also evaluated the previous meetings, findings, and we did have, in the afternoon, we did have other sets of workshops. They are all turned into reports, and we also turned our meeting into a report, and you can reach that report from our ResearchGate web pages and our own web pages. And it was co-authored by Kadir and myself. And then I want to give you a little bit details about what this meeting was all about. And as I said, it was a group of decision makers, obviously, people from, people from higher education sector, English prep school directors, English teachers, EMI content instructors. Actually, among the decision makers, we also invited officials who are in the Office of Higher English Medium Instruction to our meeting, but they couldn't find space in their agendas and couldn't attend. But we were very happy that rectors and vice rectors and ex-rectors from EMI universities were part of this meeting. And in the first part of the meeting, we had, of the symposium, we had panels, and one of them was together with the rectors and vice rectors. I moderated it. And then another panel was about quality in higher education, in which we had higher education experts. We had instructors on bilingual education, experts on bilingual education, school directors, and also EMI instructors from your university, some familiar faces. And as a result of this, and then in the afternoon, I need to give you a little bit more information. At that day, we had almost 123 participants, and maybe more because people were not coming in and going out, and they may have forgotten to register. And in the morning, during the panels. And then in the afternoon, we had workshops. We had 72 participants staying behind and participating in these workshops. And among these participants, and we had 5 groups of 12 to 15 participants. And we had vice deans, vice rectors, and school directors, prep school directors, and instructors and subject instructors attending these workshops. And as a result of these discussions of these workshops, we were asked to report our findings and our, in fact, common points that we came into agreement with. And these are some of the points that we have summarized again. We asked them the pros and cons of English medium instruction to these groups. And this is, again, a summary of what all these groups came to a conclusion. Like better job opportunities, some of the pros, better job opportunities, ease in accessing scientific and professional resources, ability to follow professional advances, and ability of international communication, hence worldwide adaptability. And nowadays, I have written a short section on intercultural citizenship, global citizenship. So they are becoming intercultural citizens. So this is in fact what we have in our minds. I'm doing study abroad programs, people coming into your country. So you are in fact aspiring for such an idea. So we can also add it here. Some of the cons of these EMI approach: loss of students' motivation and self-confidence, problems related to students' language competency, problems related to instructors' language competency. Obviously, all of these were before the COVID time, okay? Now, after the COVID, we may run a similar workshop, maybe online workshop, and see what comes out, because I feel that we may come up with different results, and maybe some other items that may fall under this topic, because nowadays the students, these are still valid, but they may have changed its shape. So we may have a post-COVID meeting, maybe as Taner Hoca said in the beginning, we may have another one and check about both during the COVID and after the COVID, some future predictions we may make. So what are the major requirements for an EMI university was the second question we wanted them to discuss among themselves during the workshop. And then these are the summaries. So academic staff competent in English as well as in EMI teaching. So EMI teaching has come up as a new term, which is in fact which may somehow be a little bit offensive for an instructor who goes from an American university, from an English medium university to these universities and being asked about, but this was one of the outcomes of their discussion. So academic staff is expected to be competent in English when they are teaching. So that means they should have intelligible level of English, spoken English, as well as written English, most probably. So it is important. Well-defined and internalized language policy and accordingly shaped exchange programs. So in other words, Ali Karakaş is here, for example. We carried out research on in English medium universities, websites and linguistic landscapes, and we came up with some discrepancies between the application of varieties of English that are used in those, for example, websites, and we have criticized it for not using a consistent policy. So if you decide to use, let's say, selecting one variety of English and using it as a policy is not a problem. So if you say, at Boğaziçi University, we stick to American English written conventions. So in all your documents and everything, it is according to American English spelling, American English conventions, and so on, writing conventions. The same is true for other varieties of English as well, but have one consistent variety, one consistent policy. So this is it. Or you can also have an international English policy, but still you need to be consistent in your English language use. So having a policy is important, and you can shape your programs accordingly. Ease in accessing worldwide scientific resources. So this is another thing that's expected from an EMI university. As you know, in Higher Education Council, in order to have an EMI university, you should have a good library with resources in English language. So this is another one. Adoption of quality assurance approaches in education. So continuous quality assurance, continuous quality assessments, and accreditation, for example, programs was another one that came out. And checking checking the programs at all levels, including English language use, English medium instruction. Okay. Oh, the third question was coordination of English prep schools and EMI departments. So is there any relationship? Is there any coordination between these programs? So prep school students should participate in departmental activities so as to facilitate earlier development of their departmental belonging. So in most of the cases, prep school students and first year students in the departments complain about not developing a self-identity or institutional identity in the beginning. So they complain about their feelings of loss, especially during the first year. Maybe we can start establishing this from according to the results from the early on during the prep year. And prep schools should share the same campuses with EMI departments rather than occupying isolated islands where English speaking is encouraged. This is another one. This is another important topic. So the students should live in the same campus as the rest of the subject students. I remember Boğaziçi University was a much smaller university when I was there. So all prep school classes were held in the main campus that you see behind me. So they were using all the rooms available on campus for the prep school students. And it was very motivating, actually, for those students who were taking classes but now we have our prep school on campus and also at Kilios. We still, this is a very important point anyway. But when your university grows, it's very difficult to keep it in one place. And this is a fact that came out from the results. How is EMI perceived on your campus was another point. Actually, it was seen as a very motivating aspect, especially in students' communication with international body of international student body. And that also motivated them to go on exchange programs more. And another one was that also enabled them to use English. So they would code switch in conversations, talk with them in English and Turkish and translanguaging possibilities. These are all a little bit more technical, but it gave students opportunities to use English. So therefore they appreciated having, English medium instruction on campus, at least for those people who participated in the meeting from the Marmara region, because our meeting was in fact targeting Marmara region universities. Multilingual official and non-official communication was another aspect, which was again giving students opportunities to use English both academically and non-academically. So they were also practicing their English for other issues, for everyday language uses. We also asked content instructors aim with what the content instructors aim was to improve English skills, or whether the content instructors aim was to improve the English skills of the students or not, because in most of content instructors were a little bit offended by this idea, and as I said, it was no, but they may help and direct students in improving their English throughout the materials they provide, maybe through that can be visual and written and in many online, offline. So that will boost their learning, that will motivate them to improve their language skills. But of course, your jobs is not to teach English. In order to give an example to this, one of the panel participants at Eastern Mediterranean University was from computer engineering department, if I'm not sure, but from one of the engineering departments. And he said he gives the students like glosses or sends them some videos before class in order to present the topic that he's going to cover in class before they come, because he said most of our classes are based on formulas, problems, and figures and so on. And when something new comes up, in order not to lose the students, I give them glosses. Or sometimes what I do is, he said, during the presentation, I put kind of a cartoon link, kind of click the word and then go to the cartoon and explain them what it means, the concept, and then come back and continue. Something like that. Some changes, shifts, so that also keeps them, he said, interested in the topic as well. Because sometimes you may give them some concepts that they don't understand in English, and then they may get lost, they may lose their concentration. But if you just do some small tricks, he said, they still keep interested in listening to the classes. We also asked them what kind of changes in pedagogical approaches in EMI programs they would suggest. As I said, as I already in fact mentioned in the example, more visual teaching materials, more interactive methods, flipped classrooms and blended learning, blended teaching, maybe giving them more extra materials, providing keywords and terminology before lectures. So these are important hints, they said, in order to keep the students' interest and get them into the classrooms more prepared. Obviously, I need to, as one of the researchers in the area of word Englishes and EMI, I would like to say that contribution of nowadays, all these paradigms are referred to as global Englishes, including all word Englishes, EIL and ELF. Research pedagogy of English needs to be well understood by all stakeholders. So actually, we have to see English as a global language before we enter into the classroom and start teaching. So English is part of our repertoires, linguistic repertoires. So I would call this is a very strong claim, but I would say this as a sociolinguist, we are all bilinguals because we can function both in English and in Turkish, at least academically, okay? If we don't want to, if you don't feel very confident in everyday language, but we can easily improve that because we are already competent in one domain in English. The fact that EMI is so popular needs to be reassessed. We said that, and many people mentioned that because we have so many EMI universities, and some institutions use it as a kind of marketing strategy. But actually, they should, as I said earlier, they should have a certain policy in preparing, in kind of deciding to become an EMI university. It needs to be reassessed, revisited, I think. The understanding that English is a global language is the heart of English medium instruction. We have to remember that. And trend EMI policies, as I said, in Turkish education require academic justification, but I want to underline this doesn't go through the assessment of teachers, EMI instructors' competencies and making them feel bad. Actually, I think policies should be made before you are accepting EMI instructors into your institutions. This is just a new note. Students should be exposed to EMI programs that give them the necessary skills in English to cope with problem-solving activities in various domains that require English language use on a global scale. In a research project we conducted with Feza Kerestecioğlu at Kadir University in your electrical engineering classes, showed that the students benefited from these blended learning videos that Professor Kerestecioğlu was assigning to his students. And they said, some of them said, not all of them though, that they benefited a lot from these videos in improving their English, they said. We were not targeting English there, but during our interviews with the students underlined this fact actually. They said we were very happy. And they also said that, for example, Professor Kerestecioğlu was recording his lectures and putting them on YouTube weekly actually. And the students were listening to these lectures after he did the lectures. It was not flipped classroom. We wanted to, keep them because we wanted the students who couldn't attend the classes to be able to see what was happening. And they found these useful. And in some cases, in order to overcome instructors, understanding instructors' English, they slowed down, changed it, listened it over and over again. So they did actually find strategies to understand. It was very helpful for the learners, for these students to understand the topic. But obviously, again, we couldn't achieve the aim of our research. We were looking at, our aim was to help, especially underachievers, to be more successful in the courses, to get higher grades. But as a result of the study, we found that the high achievers became much more successful. And those ones who were not really successful in previous regular teaching were still the same. So in a way, it helped the students, but we couldn't reach our target to turn those low achievers to have higher grades. Anyway, so this is another topic maybe we can discuss another time. Okay. So this is important. So we need to really bring this into the attention of our students, that they are going to use English on a global scale, and they may do study abroad and maybe become instructors at universities, and they should be aware of this. Thank you very much. That's all I want to say today. I think that's good timing. We can have some questions and comments, and this is the only references I have, and I can send you the chapter if you are interested in reading. And I want to thank you. Actually, I had a thank you slide. I lost it. Okay, it's here. Okay, I want to thank you. And these are, if you want to ask more questions, please write to us, okay? And we'll be very happy to send you the chapter as well. Thank you.